second year of COVID-19 pandemic has given us the opportunity to reevaluate our goals and rethink our approach to delivering on our mandates. We are grateful to the Indonesian government, the Senior Secretariat, our partner institution, and the members of the governing board for their confidence, financial and other support in our ability to continue implementing food and nutrition change in the region.
To dream of a better future, we need a healthy present.
Our NGTS program is currently in its 5th year of implementation and is in strengthening phase. To support the program, NGTS Monitor Program Information System, or SIPP NGTS, has been developed and piloted in 3 vocational high schools in Indonesia and includes aspects of school readiness, healthy school canteens, nutrition education, and school data. In addition, we initiated 2 regional publications, School-Based Nutrition Program Country Profile and Healthy School Canteen Reference Book for teacher and student. We also made very significant changes to our flagship ECCNE program by disseminating and launching a policy brief on local specific food recommendation for stunting alleviation in Indonesia. Aside from dissemination among national stakeholders, dissemination has been carried out for 48 districts and cities. Activity also resulted in prospective memorandum of understandings with local governments and academic partners to proceed with the ECCNE program.
Dear senior rector colleagues, senior center directors and officials, distinguished
we exist worldwide, but the same environment.
our achievement in this fiscal year can bridge our next vision to be the center of excellence for building capabilities in food and nutrition for all in Southeast Asia.
To dream of a better future, we need a healthy present. Good nutrition we must nurture to build an active world. Breakfast before you go, make sure your plate's complete with food that can make you nourished. Run fast towards your goal, live life with full of hope together. We'll make it happen. Nutrition goes to school, 'cause we are the agents of change. And higher be the greatest. We are the agents of change. 'Cause we're the awesome generation. To dream of a better future, we need a healthy present. Good nutrition we must nurture to build an active world. Breakfast before you go, make sure your plate's complete with food that can make you nourished. Run fast towards your goal, live life with full of hope together. We'll make it happen, and GTS is the way. We are the agents of change. And higher be the greatest. We are the agents of change. 'Cause we're the awesome generation. Cause we're the awesome generation.
Before we start our agenda, please let us review the rule for this webinar. The use of headphones is recommended for the best sound quality.
Please ensure that you have a stable internet connection.
This webinar is being live streamed through YouTube.
The certificate will be available 3 weeks after this webinar and will be sent to each participant's email used for registration.
Please set your Zoom account name using this following format: your name _ institution name.
There is no attendance form, but at the end of the session, all participants are expected to fill out an evaluation form as a proof of attendance and a requirement to get an e-certificate. The link for evaluation form will be distributed before the end of the webinar.
Participants can submit questions through the Q&A session in Zoom or YouTube comment with the format full name _ institution _ directed to _ the question.
To all distinguished guests,
Board of Director of CMEO Secretariat,
Board of Director and our colleagues from CMEO Centers,
Board of Director, Managers, and Expert of CMEO RecFon,
all distinguished resource persons,
and all respectable participants, sir and madam, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Peace be upon you.
Welcome to the international webinar on school food environment and dietary behavior among school children and adolescents in Southeast Asia. This webinar is a part of Simiorekfon's 11th anniversary celebration. My name is Arienta Rahmania Putri Sudibya, and today I'm not alone. I'm here with my partner.
I am Ahmad Atollah Faik, and we are honored to be your master of ceremony for today's event.
We would like to inform you that this event is accessible through our YouTube channel, Simiorekfon.
Before we proceed with our main agenda, we would like to invite you to stand up to pay respects to the Simio colors, as well as gain more understanding of our organization by watching the Simio song. To all participants, you may be seated for a CMO song.
It's time to open our eyes to a bright and promising future. We'll rise to the call of the times and create a stronger tomorrow. Let's start to make a difference, teaching everyone to learn through science, health, and technology. We will share our expertise by promoting knowledge and policies. We can build a better world. Let us take a stand for our visions of hope, bringing future plans for the people to grow in a life filled with happiness and dreams. Here at Simio, building the future is our legacy. We'll achieve our goals through partnership, creating opportunities. By working hand in hand, we can accomplish all our dreams. For a better quality of life is now within our reach. Let us take a stand for our visions of hope, bringing future plans for the people to grow in a life filled with happiness and dreams. Here at Simio, building the future.
Indeed, building the future is our legacy. We hope that this webinar will strengthen our ability to build a brighter future for the state of nutrition in Southeast Asia region.
Ladies and gentlemen, to welcome you all, we would like to invite the director of Simiorekfon to give his speech. Please welcome Professor Multarudin Mansur, MD, PhD.
Hi, very good morning all. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Distinguished Director of SIMES, who is represented by Deputy Director Administrative, Dr. Krista Chai, SIMES Center Directors, Deputy Directors, and all honorable speakers, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to welcome everyone to our important venue today. This webinar of school food environment and dietary behavior among school children and adolescents in Southeast Asia, together with the books of SBNP country profile and healthy school canteen event, launching event, is a part of 11th anniversary Simiorekfon, and an important point of departure of Nutrition Goes to School program in Simio member countries. We know that the malnutrition problems were found in all stages of life, including school-age children. On the other hand, we all know that providing nutritious, safe, and balanced food in the diet of children is important to enable them to achieve optimal growth and better learning ability. The Global Nutrition Report revealed that various forms of malnutrition still remain prevalent among school-age children in South Asia due to low-quality diet practices, such as skipping breakfast, having imbalanced nutrient intake, and high-frequent consumption of food high in salt, sugar, and fat. This is related to the challenge we face nowadays, that is the unhealthy food environment. Today's food environment exploits people's biological, psychological, social, and economic vulnerabilities, making it easier for them to eat unhealthy food. The situation is more challenging due to COVID-19 pandemic. The food environment concept shows us that the choices we make about food are, to a significant degree, shaped by the context within which they are made. Following from that is the recognition that the most effective and equitable way to change food behaviors is to change the structural factors that drive food choice. School children, being in the age of puberty and undergoing physical and psychological transformation, start selecting food they want to eat, especially outside of their home. Their food choice was influenced by either their exposure to mass media, by their peers, by the school community, or by the availability of affordable, healthy food in their surrounding. School-age children would usually spend 4 to 8 hours of their life at school. Given this length of time span and the intensive activities that children do at school, they would need access to the right food that could adequately provide the energy and nutrients they would require to last a day. Understanding that schools are the ideal setting to deliver information about nutrition and promote good dietary practice among students. In 2016, Semirek Fund launched a flagship program of Nutrition Goes to School to drive the message of the crucial role that a school plays in building the character of the student to learn good nutritional practices toward healthy living throughout their lifetime. As a school-based multi-sectoral program, the NGTS program generally aims to improve student learning outcome and active participation in school activities by acquiring proper nutrition. This program was expected to help develop awesome school children, active, well-nourished, and smart of me. Within the context of NGTS program, Semirek Fund initiated the school-based nutrition promotion SBNP working group as the platform for sharing and learning from each other about nutrition promotion program at school, both at the country level and the Southeast Asia. Currently, Semirek Fund is developing Southeast Asia SBNP country profile book, in which the soft launching we will see during the seminar. One core component of the NGTS program related to food environment is healthy school canteens. Semirek Fund believes that a healthy school canteen can significantly contribute to developing awesome school children. The healthy school canteen is not only the source of healthy food, but also as an effective effective medium for building the student characters and acquiring proper nutrition habits and other relevant life skills. Additionally, in the era of new normal, the hygienic and healthy act and behavior are more essential in our daily life. Semirek Fund further believes that school-based health and nutrition promotion program and policy exist at different educational levels in Southeast Asia to varying degrees of implementation. Such program and policies involve the operation of healthy school canteens, which in the process may have generated some best practices over the years that are worth sharing and could be replicated in other countries depending on the existing context. In this context, Semirek Fund proposed an inter-center collaboration ICC project during the SEMU directors meeting, SEMU council meeting, in July 2020 on compiling policies, programs, and best practice on healthy school canteen implementation in the region as a reference book. The SEMU Executive Council eventually approved the project proposal, which was implemented from October to December last year. Today, we are glad that we have the opportunity to bring forward and discuss about the importance of food environment at schools. The session speakers are rich of experience in the field of school food environment, and some of them were
heavily involved in the article writing of the book that we will launch. We will have valuable knowledge and insight from all speakers, and also sharing knowledge and experience from the participants during the discussion. May I use this opportunity to thank Siames for continued support to the RECFON activities, especially in implementing the program in South Asia in these CMO country members, and also facilitating the inter-center collaboration project. Big appreciation to the contributor of the book from Brunei, Dr. Pangeran Safri and Dr. Paryono from CMO Foktech, from Cambodia, Dr. Ai Song Heng, Siomatet, the Philippines, Ms. Carmen Nihria Rohel from CMO Serka, and Dr. Mare Talavera from University Philippine of Los Banos, Indonesia, Dr. Gusnadi from Padang Health Polytechnic, Ministry of Health, from Malaysia, Mr. Muhammad Zulkarnain Abdul Wahab from Simusen, and Dr. Chen Xiong Ting from International Medical Education, and Myanmar, Dr. Tusang Aung from Siomachet and Ms. Tet Ukin. Especially to our Deputy Director Program, Dr. Jess Fernandez, Bu Dwi Nastiti, Bu Helda, and Bu Helda is a moderator the seminar, and the Bu Judi as principal contributors. Without their smart working, this book would haven't been finished. I hope from this webinar, there will take home message for us to improve and make food environment at school healthier and promoting healthier food choices among children. With this, I thank you very much for your attention and enjoy the seminar. Billahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Professor Muhtar, for the speech.
Faik, ladies and gentlemen, this morning we are privileged to have the Deputy Director for Administration and Communication of CMIO Secretariat, Dr. Krit Sachai Somsaman, among us. We would like to invite Dr. Krit Sachai to deliver his message.
Honorable Board of Directors of CMIO Regional Centers, Honorable Director of CMIO Regional Center across the Southeast Asia region, Honorable Representatives from the Ministry, University, and School, Honorable Director of CMIO Regional Center for Food and Nutrition, CMIO RECFON, Professor Dr. Mukhtaruddin Mansur, distinguished guest, speaker, CMIO colleagues and friends, also viewers from YouTube from all around the world. Good morning from the CMIO Secretariat headquartered in Bangkok, Thailand. Salamat pagi and Sawadee krab. On behalf of the Director of CMIO Secretariat, Dr. Ethel Agnes Pascual Valenzuela, I'm very pleased and very honored to be a part of CMIO RECFON's international webinar on school food, environmental, and dietary behavior among school children and adolescents in Southeast Asia. CMIO RECFON has been a significant part of CMIO, and the center has just reached a significant milestone. I wish to convey my warmest congratulations to CMIO RECFON on the occasion of the 11th anniversary. CMIO, as a regional intergovernmental organization established in 1965 among governments of Southeast Asian countries with the purpose of promoting regional cooperation in education, science, and culture in the region. We have 26 centers and networks that undertake training and research programs in various fields, and CMIO RECFONs play a significant role in handling the nutrition problems in the region. As we already know, our region is facing the triple burden of malnutrition, undernutrition, overnutrition, and micronutrient deficiencies that affect all age groups, especially school children and adolescents. Low quality diet practice among school-age children contribute to the prevalence of malnutrition. Providing nutritious, safe, and balanced food in the diet of children is important to enable them to achieve optimal growth and better learning ability. Given the length of time they spend at the intensive activities they do in school, children would need access to the food that could adequately provide energy and nutrients they would require to last a day. The opportunities for school children to learn about balanced nutrition, food safety, and its importance to the overall growth and development through the school system vary from one country to another in Southeast Asia. The difference lies on the existing national policy and programs, school curricula, available human resources, knowledge materials, and the approach through which nutrition concepts and principles are integrated in classroom subjects or extracurricular activities. Improving the school food environment, such as operating a healthy school canteen, is one of the most effective ways to change their food behaviors and influence their choice for more nutritious food. Ladies and gentlemen, among all the difficulties we are facing with these malnutrition problems, we are very fortunate to have the teams from SIMO-REC Fund working hard on significant programs and activity. We have witnessed the implementation of Nutrition Go to School, or NGTS, since 2016 as a multi-sectoral program emphasizing the crucial role that a school plays in building the characters of students to learn good nutrition practice toward healthy living through their lifetime. NGTS programs aim to improve students' learning outcome and active participation in school activities by acquiring proper nutrition, aim to develop awesome school children. Awesome means active, well-nutritious, well-nourished, and smart of me. The capacity building programs was participated by more than 3,000 school teachers and principals in Indonesia since 2017, and also 30 school teachers in Timor-Leste in 2019 on this and NGTS components. And also in 2021, the center has provided an 8-week online training course on healthy school canteen to 63 school teachers from Indonesia, Brunei, Myanmar, Cambodia, LAPDR, and the Philippines. SIMO-REC Fund has been conducting a series of webinars on NGTS program components for school teachers in Southeast Asia with a great deal of success in terms of number of participants. This year, NGTS program is coming to Cambodia and the Philippines, thanks to the partnership with SIMO-TET, SIMO-SIAGA, together with the University of Philippines, Los Banos. Another significant milestone is the establishment of the Southeast Asia School-Based Nutrition Promotion, SBNP, working group in 2019 as a sharing and learning platform for nutrition literacy among school community members and other stakeholders. The center has developed a series of SBNP country profiles since 2020, and I'm very glad to hear that the country profile of Brunei, Laos, PDR, Indonesia, Philippines, and Thailand has been created, and we will have a soft launching during this webinar today. Another important accomplishment from SIMO-REC Fund, which we will be witnessing today, is the successful implementation of the Inter-Center Collaborative Project on compiling policy program and best practice on the healthy school canteen as a reference material to improve the teaching learning process on nutrition literacy in the region. With our own inter-center collaboration funding established here by SIMO Secretariat, we will be witnessing the soft launch of the book in this international webinar today. As it's called Inter-Center Collaboration Program, there won't be this great achievement without the partnership from SIMO-CHAT, SIMO-SEN, SIMO-SIAGA, SIMO-TET, and also SIMO-WOCTEC, and all the other partners from university and other organizations. Thanks for the hard working of the center and partners, which lead to the accomplishment of our ICC project on healthy school canteen. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great opportunity to join and learn from the expert in this international webinar on school food environmental and dietary behavior among school children and adolescents in Southeast Asia, hosted by Simeo Rekmon today. Once again, I would like to welcome everyone to this special event and wish all of you fruitful learning and sharing. And since we are having new publication coming out, I hope that everyone can utilize this wonderful resource to help promote a healthy school food environment, which will be very helpful in improving the health and nutrition status of school children in the region. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to officially declare this international webinar open. Thank you. Terima kasih banyak.
Thank you, Dr. Krit Sachai, for your remarks.
And there is one thing that is not less important, Mbak Arin. It is taking picture. So before going to the next session, I would like to invite all director of CMU centers to join us in the stage for photo session. And also to all the panelists in the Zoom, please kindly turn on your camera and using virtual background provided from the committee. Okay, I think everyone is ready. I will count to 3. Everyone, please put your brightest smile. 1, 2, 3. Once again. 1, 2, 3. Great. Thank you, everyone.
I hope our participants are getting more excited as we are now coming to our first session. This session will be led by our expert from Simeo Rekmon, Dr. Helda Kusun.
Dr. Helda serves as senior researcher and coordinator of our postgraduate training program and school-based nutrition promotion of our Nutrition Goes to School program. She graduated from Food Technology and Nutrition, IPB University for her bachelor degree, got her master degree from Community Nutrition, Universitas Indonesia, and her PhD in Public Health Nutrition at University of Queensland, Australia.
Okay, Faik. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome our moderator, Dr. Helda.
Stay on mute, Bu.
Sorry. Okay, so Excellencies, distinguished guests and speakers, and all attendees of this seminar, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Praise be upon Allah who gathered us in this occasion. Thank you so much for attending this seminar. So everyone, this seminar, as we understand that we will talk about the school food environment and dietary behavior of school children and adolescents. So food environment, first of all, I would like to thank you to the MCs for the kind introduction. Thank you so much. But let's go back to the food environment. So food environment, it has changed so much in the last 2 decades. We understand that. So to illustrate this, let me tell you the story of my housing surroundings. Some 20 years ago, I just moved to a suburban area in the outskirts of Jakarta. At that time, it is more a village rather than a suburban area. At that time, the only convenience store available was located some 1 kilometer away from the gate of our housing complex. But now, when you go to the area, you will find not only convenience stores now, a lot of them, but also some big chain supermarket, as well as big restaurant chains, including the worldwide big coffee shop is already there now. Thus, the food environment changed a lot, and I believe it influenced the food that people choose. But food environment is not only about the physical aspects. It includes the social and political space that influence people's food choices. So the food environment were actually a combination of these spaces. However, today, we will not talk about the food environment in general. We will discuss about something more crucial for the health of our young generation. School children and adolescents in Southeast Asia, we know, are faced the triple burden of malnutrition, where undernutrition, overnutrition, and micronutrient deficiency coexist, not only within a community, but also could be within an individual. And we understand that the food intake and dietary behavior linked very much to these problems. And the school food environment, as mentioned by Pak Muhtar just now, is one of the important factors shaping the food choice of the children and adolescents. You know, they spend some 4 to 8 hours a day at school in general, but in the last 2 years, of course, during the pandemic, it changed a bit. Yeah, we will hear about the aspect of this pandemic later on from the expert. So today we have already with us the experts that can give highlight on the school food environment and how they are implemented in the Southeast Asia region. With us, we have Dr. Harvinder, who will tell us about the school food environment and how is the situation in Malaysia, while Professor Kitty will discuss with us about the experience on how the pandemic COVID-19 influenced the school food environment in Thailand. And moreover, toward the end, we will hear about the situation of school canteen in Southeast Asia region from representative of the Healthy School Canteen in Southeast Asia book writers, which will be launched later today. So without further ado, I would like to introduce the first speaker for today, Dr. Harvinder from International Medical University. Dr. Harvinder is currently a fellow for Center of Environmental and Population Health, International Medical University, Institute for Research, Development, and Innovation in Malaysia. And also, she is a lecturer in the Division of Nutrition and Dietetics in the same university. She has conducted food environment surveys in Malaysia, so we will hear from her the situation of the food environment, school food environment in Malaysia, and then has published it in various esteemed journals. So let's invite Dr. Harvinder to start the presentation. Dr. Harvinder.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you. Can you see my slides?
Clearly, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you very much to the Madam Chair for the very warm introduction. So the topic given to me was on the roles of school food environment in supporting healthy diet behavior among school children and adolescents. Particularly, I will be speaking about the Malaysian experience. So here's the outline of my presentation. In the next half an hour, I will bring you through the overview of double burden of malnutrition in Malaysian children, and as well as the major determinants of factors leading to risk of malnutrition and overweight obesity in our children. Then I will bring you through some of the initiatives that have been implemented in the Malaysian schools to provide healthy food options for our children and adolescents. And lastly, I will bring you through some of the recommendations that we can impart to enhance current effort to better advocate healthy eating in our school children and adolescents. Now, like other nations, children in Malaysia too, they suffer from double burden of malnutrition, inclusive of undernutrition, overweight, obesity, and currently also there is micronutrient deficiency. So if you look here in our National Health and Mobility Survey, children under the age of 5, 1/5 of our children under the age of 5 are still suffering from malnutrition and stunting. What is more alarming is that there is also increase in the prevalence of overweight and obesity in children aged from 5 to 17 years old, almost double from 15% to 30% in the based on the data from the National Health and Mobility Survey 2019. And with further investigation, we also find that our primary school children, they tend to have higher prevalence of overnutrition comparing to the secondary school adolescents. So here we can see there is a revelation that Malaysia is actually transitioning from undernutrition to relative overnutrition, despite there is 1/5 of our children who are still suffering from malnutrition and stunting. Now, this is a major public health concern for the Malaysians because this not only put us in the map as the fattest nation in the Southeast Asia, but it also impacts our future generation, especially in terms of their health, well-being, and as well as our economic growth. Now, there are considerable research that has been done to determine what are the factors, what are the determinants that causes malnutrition and overweight obesity risk in children and adolescents, some of which includes the influence of genetic background, whereby now studies have shown both malnutrition and overweight obesity is heritable. Then we have our children, adolescents suffering from psychological factors like depression, low self-esteem, where this will likely make them engage in eating disorders. Then there is a sedentary lifestyle and also family characteristics, parenting styles, parents' lifestyle, where these parents become role model for unhealthy behavior for their children. And then there is social influences where children, they engage in certain behavior to be accepted, eating behavior to be accepted by their peers. Then you have their cultural practices, beliefs, and also environmental factors like school policies, economic environment, and demographic influencing children and adolescents' eating behavior and dietary practices. But till today, the key factor still remains the poor diet, inclusive of poor diet quality, poor type of food intake, and also poor portion size as the major factor that is affecting the malnutrition and overweight obesity risk in children and adolescents. Now, this is further supported by our nationally representative data, which was conducted in the CNUT studies among children aged 6 to 12 months, where it showed more than 1/3 of our children, they did not achieve the Malaysian recommendation of nutrient intake, the RNI, for energy, calcium, and vitamin D. So we do have deficiencies in children for these nutrients. And furthermore, what we saw was that 50% of our children, they engage in irregular eating pattern. They tend to skip breakfast, which is the most important meal of the day. And then 20% tend to have frequent snack consumption, and about 10% ate fast food on a weekly basis. And similarly, among the adolescents, the finding from the Adolescent Health and Nutrition Survey conducted among adolescents aged from 10 years to 17 years old, we saw that despite their meeting the Malaysian recommendation of nutrient intake, but their sugar intake has increased by 1.4-fold. And moreover, we also saw that they tend to have poor diet quality and eating habits, whereby majority of our adolescents, they do not have adequate fruits and vegetable intake, dairy product intake, fish intake, and among other food groups intake. And about 31 in 3, they tend to have carbonated soft drink intake at least once daily. Now, over the years, there is new emerging evidence that showed us school food environment, particularly, it's one of the key factors that also impacts children and adolescents' eating behavior, because most of our children tend to spend their time in schools when they are away from home, and also at least half of the meals taken away from home also are taken in the schools. So therefore, there is a need to understand the school food environment, and particularly to understand the Malaysian food environment. Here is a study that was conducted in 140 public schools, 97 primary school, and 43 secondary school to assess the type and quality of food and beverages sold in the school canteens. We saw that a higher percentage of our both primary and the secondary schools tend to sell prohibited foods like processed foods, and then you have junk foods, cake, donut, french fries, high-fat foods, sweet foods, and also sweetened beverages compared to the highly recommended whole grains, fresh fruits and vegetables, and then also the low-fat food items and so on. Now, there is also another study that was conducted whereby we recruited 4 schools in the urban and semi-urban areas in Kuala Lumpur, okay, whereby we assess adolescents' perception on easy to purchase healthy foods availability in the school canteen, and also the selections they have in their school canteen. And what we saw was that it was difficult for the adolescents, majority of the adolescents, to purchase fresh fruits and vegetables and also low-fat meals in their school canteen. But however, there is availability of plain water and low-calorie beverages as well as low-calorie snacks in their school. So they were able to purchase that in their school. So through further investigation, we saw that why they were not able to purchase fresh fruits and vegetables, because there was no availability of fresh fruits and vegetables and low-fat options in their schools, but there was availability of low-calorie beverages like unsweetened beverages, plain water, unsweetened tea, and also low-calorie snacks like steamed kueh, sandwiches, plate buns in their school. And what is interesting to note here also, the schools that we evaluated, they did not have vending machines. So this tells us that there is some effort that is already implemented in some of the schools, but perhaps it's not robust enough. So therefore, let's look at some of the initiatives that has been implemented in the Malaysian schools to provide healthy food options, with the joint efforts by Ministry of Health Malaysia, Ministry of Education Malaysia, and also the various other stakeholders. Now, under the National Plan of Action for Nutrition of Malaysia 3, 2016 to 2025, it was stated that in order to combat the double burden of malnutrition for all Malaysian population of all ages and throughout the life cycle, the government planned to strengthen and sustain the multi-sectorial food system to support and promote healthy eating practices by ensuring the availability, accessibility, and affordability of healthy food and food products for the population. So thereby, here are some of the efforts that have already been implemented under the NPAM 3, whereby particularly for school children and adolescents, we have programs like Healthy School Canteen and school meal programs. We also have the Healthy Cafeteria to combat the obesity. And then we also have some guidelines for children, Malaysian dietary guidelines for children, adolescents that has been implemented. We have the Healthy Choice logo and front of pack labeling that has been implemented. And we also have some apps that have been created for children and adolescents to engage into healthy nutrition. So let's look into these programs in a greater detail. So one of the very famous program that was implemented was the Supplementary Feeding Program, also known as the Rancangan Makanan Tambahan Program In our primary school children, this was a joint collaborative effort between Ministry of Education and the Parents Teachers Association. So the goal of this program was actually to supplement food provided at home to meet at least a fourth or a third of the primary school children's daily meal requirement. So this program was basically targeting those students from poverty line income households from Orang Asli, the aborigines of the Malaysian children. And then we also have children with special needs. So basically in this program, meals were provided before the start of the school on site for consumption. If let's say the child was from the morning session, breakfast was provided, and for afternoon session, lunch was provided for 190 days. And this does not include the Ramadan days. So this program was implemented in 1979 and it has continued up until now. And over the years, there has improvement in the budget. So therefore now better food choices has been provided. And then currently it costs about 250 to 3 ringgit, Malaysian ringgit per meal. So here are the 20 sample menu items that were provided under this program, the RNT program, which basically involve giving main meals, one fruit, different fruit, and also one beverage for these students. All right, then we had the school meal program, or also known as the program Susu Sekolah, which was a collaborative effort between Ministry of Education and the local milk producers. So in this program, the objective was to encourage the habit of drinking milk and to provide milk to the students who were at higher risk of malnutrition, particularly the poor students. So those students who were already enrolled in the RMT program, the previous feeding program, they were automatically enrolled in this program too. But those who are not in the other program, they can participate on a voluntary basis. So these two were implemented in the primary school children, whereby free milk was provided approximately 2 times weekly. That consists of a sweetened chocolate flavored milk. So this initiative was implemented in 1983 and it has continued up till now as well. Now, based on the evaluation program of these two programs over the years, there has been some evaluation, some publication that has been published, and it was noted that these two programs received some good reception from the students and as well as parents. So based on the survey conducted in 129 schools, 97% of the children liked the food served and about 80% of them ate all the foods that were served. And the parents have appreciated the program and wanted it to continue to assist the poor children particularly. And it also improved the food quality, where over the years we had increase in the budget allocation. Therefore, there was increase in the nutrient content of the food. Though some of the menus did not meet the vitamin and mineral requirements like calcium, niacin, riboflavin, and thiamine, but this was particularly because of the modes of food preparation. And then there is also publication that noted there was improvement in health and education outcomes of the children enrolled in these two programs, whereby there was reduction in protein energy malnutrition, there was increase in the attendance rates, and also education performance in these children. Then in the year 2000 onwards, we had some new programs that were implemented. One of the programs was the program Hidangan Makanan Berkhasiat, the Sekolah HITS, or also known as the school meal program. So this program basically relied on private funding, usually from the parents, in contrast to the RMT program, which was fully government funded. So this program started in year 2007. It was a joint effort between parents, teachers association, school administration, and also nutritionists from the district offices. So the nutritionists helped to plan at least 60 meals, healthy, balanced meals, to be served daily in the school canteen. So the aim was to provide balanced meal, healthy balanced meal at a minimum cost. So the costing can range from as low as 1 ringgit 80 cents Malaysian ringgit to 3 ringgit, depending on the school session and also in which state it has been implemented. So currently it has been implemented in 61 primary schools, but it is mainly on voluntary basis if the schools wants to participate. So the menus that were prepared by the nutritionists contain all the local ingredients and preferences. The menus could be modified to suit dietary requirements of the children, and there were also menus prepared for those children who have certain allergies and also certain dietary preferences like vegetarian students. So here you can see one example of the menu. It includes the whole grains, green vegetable and non-green vegetables. There is animal protein and plant protein, and also there is fresh fruits. And there is 2 days where it is meatless, the 2 meatless days to save environment effort. All right, this is the example of the vegetarian menu, and this is the example of the special menu that was prepared for the school children. So how does the program, the HITS program work? Basically, the canteen operators will prepare the meal and package the meal into individual containers for children. They will then send the photos to the nutritionists in the district offices and as well as the Parents Teachers Association and social media for accountability. The nutritionists, they were also responsible to check for the cleanliness of the kitchen and also instill hygienic food handling practices among the canteen operators. So we also had one student leader that was appointed to clean the tables each month and also to ensure that the members finish their food. And after eating, the students themselves clean after themselves and wash their cutleries and containers to be stored in the designated area. So in terms of program evaluation, we had several publications as well, whereby based on the latest publication by Theo 2019, the HITS program improves students' eating behavior. Particularly, the bowls that serve the foods were of appropriate size, so this abstains to children from overeating and also eating unhealthy foods. There was good hygiene habits. Students wash their hands before and after eating and also cleaned up the tables. There was chances of leadership role among the school children. And the canteen operators were forced to sell only healthy meals, creating a healthy school food environment in the schools that were enrolled. And there was also reduction in food waste. And there was also improvement in health and education outcomes, whereby some school, they ran the school nutrition program, which consisted of the HITS and also the nutrition education session by the trained teachers. So these education sessions in which the teachers were trained included the importance of hygiene, nutrition, and physical activity modules. So based on Theo, there was improvement in BMI, cognitive performance, and also health-related quality of life in the school children. Now, there is also another effort that was conducted between the Ministry of Health Malaysia and also the Nutrition Society Malaysia for the Malaysian School Nutrition Promotion Program, whereby the objective of this program was to alleviate and prevent nutrition problem among school children, particularly in Batu Pahat, Johor, which is south of Malaysia, through the provision of nutrition education and nutritious meals. So this also was a joint effort between nutritionists from the district of Batu Pahat and also the nutritionists appointed by the Nutrition Society of Malaysia. So the nutrition education the children received, it was from the Good Nutrition, Key to Healthy Children module, and also the nutritious meal that they received was based on the concept of the school meal program. So what was the module that the GNKHC consists of? It has training for teachers. There is guidebook slides for teachers, and then there is also workbook for children and leaflets for parents. And they had 9 topics in which year 3 onward students were to complete within a year. And the school meal program, it follows the concept of the HITS school meal program. So here are some pictures for you in which the trainers were trained by the Nutrition Society of Malaysia. And particularly Professor Dr. Norima Abdukarim and Dr. Chin Yitsiu were the trainers appointed by the Nutrition Society of Malaysia to train on the GNKHC modules. They trained the nutritionists from the district. Okay, here is how the canteen operates during during the recess time, whereby the canteen operators they prepare the foods, and then they organize the food into the bowl. Okay, after eating, students wash their own bowl and put it in the designated area. The leaders will clean the table, and then the canteen operators will further wash the the bowls to ensure there is care, cleanliness, and all that. All right, so here there are some schools that have already have their own garden, okay, because it involves a lot of budget. So they have their own garden, they plant their own vegetables, and these are the vegetables that have been used in the menu for cooking as well, for food preparation. Some of the schools, they also have their own bakery room to do their own breads and also noodles. So here is some of the activities in which the nutritionists from NSM trained the nutritionists from the district offices, and through very interactive activities. So besides the feeding programs, what other initiative we have implemented? Well, we have improved the guidelines for management of healthy school canteen. We have developed dormitory food menu. And then we have reviewed healthy nutrition components in the curriculum of Ministry of Education Malaysia. We have developed some interactive educational materials on healthy nutrition for school children, as well as established nutrition icon, RARA. And we have done campaign nationwide on Malaysian healthy plate method, the quarter half method. And we also collaborated with other agencies like the Community Development Department, the Social Welfare, and also the Ministry of Education to come up with recipes, not only for preschool children, but also for school children and adolescents, and also to monitor their nutritional status, to come up with some strategies on how to monitor their nutritional status. And these are some of the guidelines that has been developed for children and adolescents. And here are some comics and healthy eating posters that has been developed to create awareness in our school children and adolescents. Now, despite all these efforts that has been implemented, there is still a double burden or triple burden of malnutrition in our children. So what else can we do to enhance the current efforts to better advocate healthy eating in school children and adolescents? Well, if you see currently, basically most of the programs that were conducted, they were targeting those households with poverty line income levels, children with those who are poor. So this will actually increase the risk of exclusion error, whereby other children may also be may be eligible for the program, but they do not get enrolled due to the eligibility criteria. Moreover, targeting this poverty line income will also lead to cliff effect. Cliff effect is something where those who are recipient of the benefits will not receive the benefits anymore if there is just a little bit of pay hike. Okay, and therefore this will leave them vulnerable, especially those households that has got a large number of children vulnerable to protein energy malnutrition and the double burden of malnutrition. There is also occurrence of food shaming, where recipients, they are stigmatized and ridiculed in front of their peers in receiving food assistance. Perhaps now, instead of targeting, we could actually implement program in a more universal manner, because in universal program, the cliff effect, the shaming and the exclusion errors may not apply, but there will be an increase in the cost and budget for the programs. So speaking of that, therefore, we will need better cooperation among the different ministries and various other public stakeholders. So if you look at the HITS program itself, it was on voluntary basis. The funding was mainly from parents, and parents too engage in meal preparation, and there was engagement of nutritionists as well. So, and this actually led to the canteen operators to sell only healthy meals in their school. So therefore, if efforts and from the ministries could be imparted to provide funding, subsidies, to implement this in a larger scale rather than on voluntary basis, and also to invest in some facilities and support the implementation of this program, then implementation can be more robust, okay, and on a larger scale. Now, what else can we do is that we can integrate nutrition in the school by embedding nutritional education in the school curriculum. In fact, some effort has been done, but also require further improvement in those efforts. And speaking of budget again, maybe we can create and support school gardens to also help a little bit on the budget. So before ending, I would like to extend my acknowledgement to Prof. Norima Abdul Karim for sharing slides and pictures for the My SNPP program. I have nothing to disclose. With that, I thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Harvinder, for a very inspiring presentation. Sorry for my voice. So from the presentation, we understand that Malaysia is facing increasing obesity problems, and indeed, it was really related to the dietary problems, yeah, and irregular eating patterns that you mentioned coming from your survey, yeah. And then there is also some assessment already on the school food environment, and apparently the quality of food in the school canteen after the evaluation was not really good, yeah, not to the level that was expected by us, and then however, some efforts has been done to improve this sort of the school food environment through several efforts, yeah. Some healthy eating promotion program has been planned, and then several feeding programs initiatives has been in place. And after the evaluation, it is shown that the improvement of the school food environment in the form of giving many different form of supplementary feeding programs has received good reception, and then also impacted in the good improvement in dietary intake, and improve eating behavior, and improve in health and education outcomes. Thank you so much, Dr. Harvinder, for the presentation. For the everyone in this seminar, if you have question, you may put your question in the Q&A box in this webinar. And as Dr. Harvinder could not accompany us until the end of the presentation, she will answer the questions in the chat box directly.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so may I now ask for the short view of Prof. Kitty? Can the committee show the short view of Prof. Kitty? Okay, anyway. Yeah, so Prof. Kitty, welcome to the seminar. It's very nice to see you again here. Prof. Kitty, we have been communicating very intensively in the last 2 years for the writing of the school-based nutrition promotion books, country profile books for Thailand and for other Southeast Asian countries. So, Prof. Kitty, I would like to introduce Professor Kitty. Prof. Kitty is the head of Community Nutrition Department at Mahidol University, and currently he is the member of the committee of the Thai policy implementation for 100,000 days of early childhood development. Prof. Kitty finished his doctoral degree in School of Public Health and Health Systems, University of Waterloo, Canada, and he has been undergoing a postdoctoral fellow in environmental nutrition at Loma Linda University. He published a lot in the area of environmental nutrition. So let's hear about the experience of Thailand in adapting the school food environment during the pandemic from our expert. So Prof. Kitty, I will over the screen to you to start the presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Hilda, for the introductions, and good morning, everyone, to join the webinar today. And first of all, I would like to thank the CMO Fund to invite me to sharing my experience about the food environment at school during the pandemic from Thailand experiences.
Prof. Kitty, yes, okay.
Okay, and this is the outline that I would like to share my experience to you. First of all, I would like to talk about the background of the food environment at the school before the COVID, and then the situation during the COVID, how to manage the food environment for the children, and what we learned from the COVID situations, and last, what I would like to suggest from my perspective during the COVID-19 pandemics. And this is the background of the school lunch program that the Thai government start too long, but the formally the budget allocated into in 1992, and they provide around 15 cents per head per 200 day plus school meal program, and then the budget increasing into 2007 to 60 cents per head per meal for 200 day plus school plus school meal program as well. And then in 2021, the budget because I work with the Ministry of Education a lot, and then I try to discuss with them to increase the budget, because we didn't increase the budget many years, and then it's not go on my plan, and then the budget just increased a little bit to 64 cents per student per meal for 200 days per year. And then we still have the school meal program to the children as well. And this is, just talk a little bit of the budget that we got from the government, and to provide for the children, and let the school to manage their school lunch program by themselves. And this is the slide that I would like to show to you about the trend of the of the nutritional status of the Thai student is 1 to 14 years old between 1995 to 2014. The trend of the undernutrition improving. However, overweight increasing over time. It means that Thailand is facing a wasted, overweight, and obese children problem currently. And this slide, I would like to show one of my research before the COVID, that I conduct this research in the northeastern, south, and central area of Thailand, and we collect the menu of at the school. This is for the lunch only, and then we see the total menu around 83 menus. And then we see the percent of the contribution of the macronutrients appropriately. The percent of carbohydrate, protein, fat were 60, 16, and 23 in average, respectively. However, for some nutrients. For example, in this slide, we compare with the recommendation with 30% of the meal. We found that energy carbohydrate did not meet the recommendation, but for lunch, it's very high sodium, twice of the recommendations. And that is the slide that we show about the micronutrients. Some of them didn't meet the recommendation. For example, dietary fiber, vitamin A, iron, vitamin B1 and B2, including calcium. But calcium we expect the children get from the milk. And then this is we have the anthropometric measurement as well. The results show that the the age of them are around 11. And then weight and BMI for AC score in boy were slightly higher than in girl. However, height of boy was lower than girl. And that is the nutritional status and in boy and girl. The normal status around 49 and 62 in boy and girl respectively. And however, around 40% were either overweight or obesity. And that is when we measure the food outlet from the gate of the school around 100 meters to the shop around the school. We found that the average count of the school outlet was 15 outlets within the buffer in each school, and the student exposed to the food outlet was 1.3 per 100 students. It means around that school they have a lot of the snack shop, and then we try to classify where is the healthy snack shop. We cannot, because this study we try to using the nutrient profiling or some indicator, but in the Southeast Asian context, we cannot do this. Some of the study from the Western country, they can do something like this, because some professor asked me, can you identify this is the healthy snack shop for the children? I say, okay, I cannot do that. That is the situation before the COVID. And then another things that we have done before the COVID, we have the training program for the teacher. Normally in Thailand, who are the responsibility to manage the lunch for the student. We didn't have the nutritionists at the school or at the community level. The teacher have to do that, and sometimes they have to hire the chef, the local chef to cook at the school and serve the meal every day. And then this is the project that I have done with the private sector. The objective to provide the school nutrition training for the school where receive the funding support build canteen in semi-urban and urban and rural area in Thailand. And then we have to evaluate the program. And the first phase, they provide the budget and through the Ministry of Education, and then pick up the school who passed the criteria. And around 120 primary schools from all regions in Thailand got the canteen. And then when they when they receive the canteen, they have to attend the trainings that the target group were principal, teacher who responsible for school lunch program and health, and local chef and local staff from Ministry of Education. And before the COVID, we include around 600 persons for on-site training, but we separate in 40 persons per times, and the total on-site training around 15 times by INMU and our colleagues to train them in person. And the duration of the training around 5 days. And then the curriculum, the model was defined by incorporate creative, fun, experience learning, and the total module around 6 classroom sessions. Teacher and the teaching and learning strategy incorporate the classroom session, discussion, problem-based, school-based assignment, cooking class, and self-evaluations. And the curriculum was commented on and approved by the expert. This training is to challenge to us because we include a lot of practice session to them. For example, cooking class, and then let them cook and test the test. Try to test the appropriate test for the children. And then the evaluation, we have the test before and after the training program by questionnaire. The follow-up after the training, we have to visit them after the training at 6, 12, 18, and 24 months for all of the school in this project. And this is some photo from the trainings. We have the, for example, the last, on the right-hand side in below, we have let them to practice how to measure weight and height appropriately, because when we got the data from them, sometimes I think we check and then we didn't believe some data, because, for example, height in the first term and the second term is not correct. And then as I mentioned, this training, we try to incorporate for the fun or some game to them, because all of them are the teacher. They are not the nutritionists, and how to let them understand the basic knowledge is to challenge to us a lot. And then for the cooking class, as I mentioned, is to challenge because of how to hold around 40 people to go to the cooking class and let them cook the food that they might experience in their regions. And this is the result compared the score from each topic, pre and post trainings. For example, we have the question about the child growth development and assessment, school lunch guidelines, school lunch planning, food choices, and food exchange list. And the total score from when we compare pre-test and post-test is different significantly. And another thing is that we try to take a look at about the post-intervention, the score classified by the position. The lowest score go to the chef. I'm not surprised, because the local chef, their education around grade 4 or grade 6. But they have the experience for the cooking only. And that is the follow-up photos from after the training at 6, 12, 18, and 14 months. We visit them and take a look at the quality of the lunch, and take a look at the, how they can measure the weight and height, and using the software that we provide to them. And then see some opportunity and barrier. We found that some the menu or recipe that we provide to them, they didn't use or follow the guidelines. They try to use as the same as they did before. And we try to communicate with them. It's not, sometimes we feel why the Ministry of Education didn't take this responsibility. I understand them, but we have to work together in this opportunity. And then during the pandemic situations, what happened with the children? Maybe I can, we didn't expect before. And then, for this project, we have the plan already to continue, because the funder want to fund for this every year. And then during the pandemic, our plan have to be changed. For example, this is, maybe I would like to remind you about the COVID situations. This figure from the World Health Organization showed the timelines of the COVID-19 start in January 20 in China. And then during that time, we call coronavirus has spread out to the several countries until now. That is this slide showed the data from January to December 2020. It showed the statistic of the COVID-19 cases and death in Asia. And the cases were increasing day by day over time. As I remember, it might be the second wave of and all of the schools have to close again. Even they reopen in the few months. This one, we don't know, but maybe it might be repeated similar to this year or the last year. During, maybe March to May, the school just have to be closed again. That they just open a few months. It means how to manage lunch, because of the budget, this is allocated to the school already. And this is, we plan for the year before for the budget in Thailand normally. And then when the school have to close again, I think maybe the first priority they might to save the children and their community before they think about the food. And another slide, this one. In Thailand, the Ministry of Public Health tried to control the disease, and when it's spread out, however, they were still not sure to control the second wave. During that time, we shocked again because we didn't expect. I think I plan to run my business. Run my research, and then I have to cancel everything. And I remember during that time, we focused on the vaccine, and then the vaccine is not enough to all. We have to, the Ministry of Public Health try to provide the vaccine for the at-risk people, and then keep the children at home. How about the food? We don't know. And then I think the Bangkok during that time, we have the very trouble because some of the neighborhood province got a lot of the disease already. But in Bangkok, we try to prevent, but we cannot. And then we have the case increasing over time, as I mentioned. And this is from the systematic review and from another article that they said the pandemic hit at a time of the immense global challenge. We need to tackle the food security and nutrition dimension in crisis. This is they just mentioned, and how to do that is based on our context. In each country, and the COVID outbreak are already affect the global food supply chain. When we have to lock down, we cannot travel. We cannot do. For the farmer, for example, farmer cannot do the harvest. They cannot travel. They cannot import or export the food, even though in their area, the local area. And the outbreak affect 70% of the children and teenagers around the world, including Thailand, or including some country in Southeast Asian country as well. And then how about the food and nutrition security? It means the people can access to the food which is the safe, consume sufficient quantity and quality meet to the recommendations. This is just we keep in mind, and how to deal with the real situations. Some family might face some trouble about the food consumptions. And then maybe we might understand more when we take a look at this figure. And then, when we want to produce food because of the demand of the populations. And then when the COVID hit or include in these situations, some of the cycle of the food system might be stopped. And then the climate change might be another problem that we face already. Right now, we try to find the best solution to solve the climate change, because the result to the food security and low yield of the food production from the climate change we know already. And that one, when we have the COVID, it's very tough, and no one know how to manage the food And then I think for the children, it might be the vulnerable groups that we might think about them maybe the lastly, because we try to prevent the at-risk people, elderly or someone that might be at risk for the COVID-19. And then for this one, when we crossed the school, we didn't have the guidelines. When the COVID-19 pandemic spread out, we just say or announce from the province level to cross the school and keep the children at home, because maybe it might be safe for the children and safe for their family member. And then this one, just maybe we have to listen to the medical doctor, because we don't know. It's not just the normal situation. This is 100 years that we meet that one. However, I feel maybe we have to learn from this situation and let our next generation to prepare themselves. And then from the study confirmed the transmission can reduce during the school closures. And then the school closure is effective and necessary for the COVID-19 pandemic for the student and their community. It means maybe the children during that time, we don't know what kind of the vaccine that we can inject to them. But right now we have the research enough that we try to let them have the vaccine. And then I hope the school will can open again more soon. And this is, when we have the outbreak, as I mentioned, the school closed around 5 months, March to July in 2020. And then the children in Thailand, they expect to have the lunch because they might come from the poor family. And then they expect to have at least one meal. Some schools can provide breakfast, maybe light breakfast for them. And their parents expect their kids to get around 30 to 40% of the total energy, from lunch and meal program. And when the outbreak hit us, everything have been stopped. We cannot talk about the food environment and food security as well. This is the real situation. Take a look at the data. This is come from another study that I have the data before the COVID. Before the COVID in 2018 to 2019. And during the COVID, it means in 2019 to 2020. And I have the student in this project around, before the COVID around, that I have the data around 6,400. And then during the COVID, I have 1,900 students. I got the data, only from for the nutritional status. That one, when you take a look at this slide, you can see the weight for it. We found that during the COVID, the percent of the underweight increasing around 16%. It means the children might be lack of the food consumption and when they stay at home. That is, because this project is come from the semi-urban area and rural area in Thailand. And another indicator that we analyze high for it, because normally they have to drink milk every day. And during their stay at home, I think they didn't drink milk because some of their parents lost the job. And then the data show that the stunting also increasing around 20% because of the milk. And it might be the short term or the medium term effect to them. And when we analyze weight for high C score and take a look at the overweight and obese children, it might be luckily to them because the prevalence of overweight and obese children decreasing a little bit. But this data is come from the second wave, but from the third wave and during that time, I think they learn because they study online and they use as I know or ask the teacher. they know, the children might learn how to use the technology and they can order the food online. And we have a lot of food delivery to their homes. We don't know what kind of the food, and we can guess maybe pizza, chicken, or something like this that they can order from the fast food shop by themselves and use their parent credit card or something like this. But we don't know the nutrition status in the second, third wave and the currently. And this is some of the survey from the 9 slum in Bangkok during the COVID-19, and the total subject around 900, and they face the problem and the impact of the food security in slum. Around 50% of them earn income per day less than the cost of the food. 22% of the people reduce at least one meal. 28% rely on the food donations. It means this is happen to their family. And how about the kids? We don't know, right? And we can guess from the statistic. This might be can answer some question here. And then some of the food group that they have to reduce 65% reduce to consume seafood and products. 52% reduce to eat meat and meat product, and 47% reduce to consume food and vegetable.
And I'm sorry, the time is still 5 minutes, Prof.
Okay, yes, thank you. And this is the photo that from some activity that maybe that we try to work with the teacher. The teacher have to set the schedule to visit their kids and bring some food to them, and maybe have the short evaluations. And that is maybe the campaign from the community, for example, the pantry campaign and mobile grocery, something like this. For the mobile grocery, they have to buy and order food and let the mobile grocery to go to their communities. And then another, the project similar to the the training similar to during the COVID-19, before the COVID-19. This is the training on online. We set the training online for the teacher during these times. And then we have to adapt a lot. For example, when we training the teacher online, we have to change everything change everything from on-site to online. And then try to adapt myself as well, because I the professor and teacher of these trainings. And then this is the e-learning website that we let them use for the trainings. That one. Not just only for the e-learning, we have the cooking class online as well. We support them by the virtual meeting discussion in the small groups. And then we have the video clip to send to them maybe every 2 weeks. And like groups that we can send the information and information, the short video clip to them every day. And then this is, what I can learn from these situations. Maybe we have to consider the students as the first priority, and then because they cannot make the voice, and the student might, when the student lack of the consumption, they might not die in the short term, but it might see the effect in the long term for the learning and the development, and not create the policy or the guideline for the school lunch and school meal program management for the teacher. And the big data from our country, sometimes we have to process. And we have to take a look at or play with the data, and the budget cannot solve the problem. I think maybe we have to to have many stakeholders to concern and to protect the student rights. And then what I would like to suggest, this is maybe we have to set the guidelines for the management. Committee has to think the source of the food security. For example, let them see the empty space and let them try to grow something in their community, and find a way to support children learning at home. Parents have to involve and support school management knowledge for the teacher, because right now we didn't have the community nutritionist, and then all of the activity at the school go to the teacher. I understand them because of the workloading, and then we try to do my best in Thailand. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Kitty, for the very insightful presentation. Prof. Kitty, in the presentation, you mentioned about the increasing trend of obesity again in Thailand, yeah, as well as in Malaysia. And it's interesting that you mentioned your study about the density of food outlets, but probably later on during the question and answer, you could explain more about the relationship of this density of food outlets with the nutritional status. It has been not discussed very thoroughly, but it's very interesting. And then also before COVID, you mentioned that the school lunch program and school meal program, which is part of the effort to improve the school food environment, was in place, including the training program in supporting teachers and school stakeholders, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And then you also mentioned how COVID-19 affected large part of the population and then affecting the food security as well as the school food environment, which actually children were impacted from both direction. The loss of getting food, quality food from the school, as well as the impact on of the COVID-19 on the food security of the parents, that they make them unable to have the food intake expected. And probably later on, probably you also could explain to us about how is this situation and you also already explained actually the impact of that on from your survey on the children nutritional status, and also you suggest on the assessment of this on the school achievement of the children, which is important. Yeah. So and then you also explain how you adapt the training, the school lunch training into online after the COVID-19. So later on, probably maybe you could also explain to us whether or not there is any evaluation of that during the question and answer session. But anyway, thank you very much, Prof. Kitty, for the very nice presentation.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah. So everyone who would like to ask question to Prof. Kitty, there are a lot of very interesting aspect that is presented by Prof. Kitty. You could put your question into the question and answer box, and then the committee will then pick up your question, and then we'll show the question in the screen later. Yeah. So we have heard two experts talking about the food environment, especially more into the school feeding programs which is implemented there. Now I would like to move on to the next speakers. But before that, I would like to also introduce about these two speakers. These two speakers will speak about a project, a compilation of policies, programs, and best practices on healthy school canteen implementation as part of the book, which is developed by, which is initiated by Simeo-Rekfon. So Simeo-Rekfon believes that school-based health and nutrition promotion programs and policies exist at different educational level in Southeast Asia. We believe it exists, but of course to a varying degrees of implementation, including the operation of the healthy school canteens. So we will move to school canteens now. In this operation, we may have already generated some best practices over the years that are worth sharing and could be replicated in other countries depending on the existing context. Therefore, the Simeo-Rekfon initiates this project. And this book is near finish, and then actually this project was generally aimed at facilitate the teaching learning process among school teachers, students, and nutrition and broader nutrition community about healthy school canteens through the compilation of best practices and effective policies and programs from selected countries. This project was funded by CIMES under the ICC project. So there is 6 books actually already developed from 6 countries. From Brunei Darussalam, we thanks Simeo Voktek for collaborating with us on this. And then also Cambodia, we will hear from Dr. Ai from Simioted, and then from the Philippines with Simeo Serka, Indonesia, of course, organized by Simeo Rekfon, and then we will hear from the writers, and then from Malaysia with Simeo Sen, and the writer was Dr. Chen Seong Ting from International Medical University, colleagues from Dr. Harvinder. Yeah, and then from Myanmar, we collaborate with Simeo Chat. So without further ado, I would like to invite the first speaker from this group, Dr. Gusnedi, STP MPH, MPH, Community Nutrition. Dr. Gusnedi was my fellow when he studied in Brisbane. So he finished his Master Public Health Nutrition from the School of Population Health and University of Queensland, and then her Doctor of Philosophy in Nutrition from Doctorate Study Program in Nutrition, Universitas Indonesia. He published a lot. Yeah. So without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Gusnedi to start his presentation on the healthy school canteen policies and program compilation. Thank you, Dr. Gusnedi. The time is yours.
Thank you, Bu Helda, for the nice introduction. Good morning, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable Director of Simeo Rekfon, all the Excellency and distinguished speakers, guests, and all participants of this wonderful international webinar. I am pleased and honored to be part of the Simeo Rekfon, especially in the project of the book writing related to the healthy school canteen in Southeast Asia. And on this very timely short schedule, allow me to share a little bit about the best practice of healthy school canteens. Most of the example that I will be presenting in these events come from Indonesia and other 4 countries in Southeast Asia, especially from the perspective of school commitment and management, and also human resources. This practice is part of what we wrote in the book compilation of healthy school canteen in Southeast Asia. So in this presentation, we will be sharing about the 4 pillars in establishing the healthy school canteens. So based on the several studies conducted by Simeo Rekfon, through the Nutrition Go to School flagship program, there are 4 main pillars needed to support in establishing and developing of a healthy school canteen. The first pillar is commitment and school management. This can be seen from the written and signed document related to the policies, rules, and also a standard operational procedure that needed by the school to run the healthy canteen. And the second pillar is related to the human resources. This is talking about how the school can provide the food providers and then food handlers and school canteen managers to make sure that all foods sold in the school canteens are safe and nutritious for all the school community. And the third and fourth pillars is related to the infrastructures and facilities and food safety. But due to the time constraint, I will only highlight and discuss the best practice related to the first and the second pillars in this presentation. Uh, Before we move to the best practice of healthy school canteen in the selected school in Southeast Asia, I would like to briefly review the current status of school canteen, especially in this case in Indonesia. So based on the several studies conducted by CMU Rekfon and then Indonesian Food Drug Administration or BPOM, and also some article or research done by our colleagues from UNICEF, school condition based on the availability of canteens can be divided into three categories. The first category is schools that do not have a canteens. Generally, these schools have limitation in terms of land, funding, and managerial ability to manage a canteen. And the second category is school with very simple canteens or canteen with substandard quality. The canteen building is only a small food stall or even a small kiosk with very limited food. Usually, this school also have problem related to funding, especially to providing good canteen facilities, and then limitation in management skills, training for staff who manage the canteen, limitation in controlling food vendors around the school, and the absence of partnership with external stakeholders. The third category is the school with the adequate school canteen, of which there are not many in Southeast Asia. And this school, even though they already successfully run the adequate canteen, still facing some challenges and problems. For example, how to maintain the infrastructure of the canteen and providing good services continuously. And then school canteens in some cases also were small in size, with too few seats, lacking hand washing facilities, and being unsanitary. And then how to implement the standard operational procedure for the canteen business, and how to maintain the proper supervision by the school management and other related institution. And also for certain school with the representative healthy school canteen, they also want to have the certification for the school canteen that they have, but they also have a problem to get the certification due to the complex bureaucracy of the mechanism of certification. Then let's we see what practice have been carried out by the school that already have healthy school canteen and get recognition from related ministry. For example, in Indonesia, the school that we select in this book have the recognition from Ministry of Health and then Ministry of Education, Ministry of Religion Affairs, and also from Indonesian Food and Drug Administration. And in the process of compilation of this best practice from respective countries, we select 3 to 5 schools in each country. And for Indonesia, we select 5 countries out of 26 schools that are recommended by the respective ministries. For example, in Indonesia, we took the example from Muhammadiyah Elementary School, Condong Catruk from Yogyakarta, and then also from Junior High School 26 Surabaya, Islamic Junior High School or MTSN 1 Makassar, and Wikrama Vocational School from Bogor, and the last one is from Senior High School 1 Garung from Lombok. So we tried to take the example from elementary to senior high school, both from private and government school, and also we include the boarding school from Islamic school. Yeah, and then the first good practice is related to the awareness and concern about the school principal or the head of the foundation about the importance of a canteen. So from the school that we select, most of them are aware that the presence of healthy school canteen is so important for the all community school, not only for the student, but also for the teachers and staff, even for the visitors. This commitment and the awareness create a demand from the community, school community, about the importance of the healthy school canteen. And then development of healthy school canteen is explicitly written as part of the school management effort to achieve school vision and mission. For example, from Indonesia, the government mandate through the joint regulation from 4 ministry that each school have to implement the school health program, or we known as usaha kesehatan sekolah in Indonesia for school and madrasah, or UKSM. So each school they're obligated to create a healthy environment for the learning process, and part of the healthy environments is the presence of healthy school canteens. And then also related to the school commitment and management, the school have written document for canteen management structure, for example, and also the criteria for food vendors, the criteria for food sales in the school, and also operational procedure to daily activity of the healthy school canteen. And then most of school integrate the teaching and learning process, both curricular and extracurricular, into the canteen daily activity. For example, from Wikrama Vocational School in Bogor, they have the program competency-based training in which the students involved in the canteen activity, for example, as the waitress, and then also for food sellers, food inspection, even for the janitor. So the student feel get into the daily activity of the school canteen. And then school they create school canteen as learning venue, especially for the character building of education. For example, in MTSN 1 Makassar, they have we call that honesty canteen, or kantin kejujuran in bahasa, in which they promote the honesty for the student to pay the food based on their own initiatives, and then allocate some funding for canteen development establishment in annual school financial plan. Most of school that we interviewed during the compilation of the book in Indonesia have a regular funding allocation through the annual and multi-year plan of the school, to make sure that school can run smoothly through the year. And then we move to the best practice of healthy school canteen in perspective of human resources. Most of canteens provide food vendors, have supervision teams, management and supervision team at school, consists of the teachers and staff to make sure that canteen run well. And then also they have the signed contract with food provider. So this school make official requirement for the vendors who can sell the foods in the school canteen. They clearly mention in that contract, for example, the type of food sold in the canteen, what can be sold and what not. And then the school also involve the student in the canteen activities such as salespersons and then food inspectors, canteen ambassador, and etc. To take part in the to control the food that's sold by the school canteen. And then
the time is 2 minutes more, Pak.
okay. And then periodical food safety, hygiene, and sanitation training for canteen vendors and food handlers. And then the school also provide coaching and empowering the community around the school who want to sell food in the school canteens. And last but not least is about the partnership and collaboration with other agencies such as local food drug administration, health center, and also academia. From the best practice from these two perspectives, we can take a home message, but that many schools face challenges in terms of land, funds, and human resources, either to build or sustain a healthy school canteen. But with good commitment, management, cooperation, and partnership, it is possible to build healthy school canteen to support a conducive learning school environment. And to end this presentation, also would like to express happy 11th anniversary to Semio Rekfon. Wish you all the best in the future. Stay victorious and successful. Thank you. Back to you, Bu Helda.
Thank you so much for the nice wish, Pak Sumedi. Pak Gusnedi. Sorry for wrong. And so, Pak Gusnedi, I think the take-home message that you mentioned at the end summarized very nicely about the challenges. Yeah, challenges in school canteen is apparent. If not, we will have school canteen everywhere, good school canteen everywhere in Southeast Asia. But the fact is that school canteens is sometimes available and sometimes not available. But when it is available, also it is a varying degree of quality, right? As you mentioned.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Mentioned also the best practices of the first two pillars. About the commitment from schools for school which has good canteen. They always have a written document, and then they use the canteen as the learning venue, and then also they have a regular funding allocation for the school canteen. While for the pillar 2, for the human resources, again, training and supervision is very important. So the one which is explained by Prof. Kitty about training the school community,
yeah, that's right.
One of the best practices that you mentioned, actually. Yeah. So and also you mentioned about the involvement of all school stakeholders. And other stakeholders to be involved in the running of the school canteen or in the supervision and improvement in the school canteen. So thank you so much, Pak Gusnedi. We will move to the explanation of the last two pillars of the healthy school canteen, which will be explained by Dr. Dr. Song Heng Ai. Welcome, Dr. Ai. Dr. Ai is director of the Semio Technical Education Development, or Semiotet, we call it, in Cambodia. Dr. Ai earned his master's and PhD degree in human resource development from Korea University of Technology and Education in 2020. And his research interests are in employment and labor, migrant workers, technical and vocational education and training, curriculum development, and human resources development. Dr. Ai has received the Base Paper Award from Asia Pacific Institute of Advanced Research at the Second International Conference on Multidisciplinary Academic Research. Dr. Ai is also former Deputy Director of Vocational Orientation Department, Ministry of Education, Youth and Sport of the Kingdom of Cambodia. So Dr. Ai, without further ado, we would like to offer the screen and time to you, to present the second pillar of healthy school canteen that you have been working on.
Thank you so much. Professors, doctors, ladies and gentlemen, today I'm honored to be with you. I'm Song Hyun Ice, Director of Simotech. I will show you two last pillars of our school canteen best practice driven book. The first one is healthy school canteen facility. The second one is food quality and nutrition, extracted from our book compiling of 6 countries in our region. Let me start the first one. In each country, each school, we have different perspective in terms of school canteen facility. For example, some schools have separate food stall with table and chair. Some schools have the big hall to welcome customer, student, and teacher. And number 2, each stall equipped with colorful lamp, because sometimes they serve the food until night. They have the evening class with light, with painting. This kind of attraction customer. And they equip with refrigerator to keep leftover food, to keep the food for future use, future cook. Equipped with tap water supply to ensure that student and customer and chef can drink and use hygienic water during eating. Sinks for washing, hand washing, food order counter. Some country or some school we have the we call running order. They stand or sit in row, waiting for their turn because of overcrowded during break time. And they have kitchen. Sometimes some country and school have separate kitchen because it avoid distracting the smell from cooking. And number 2, hygienic eating utensils like fork and plate. Some school canteen did not provide the spoon and fork. So customer, student or teacher can bring the individual spoon and fork. Canteen just provide plate and food to ensure that they can eat, enjoy the food themselves individually without distracting any dirty utensils, spoon and fork. Another one that doing the dishes themselves under an inspection. Some school student and teacher after eating, they do washing themselves, washing the dishes, washing spoon and fork themselves. But washing activity under an inspection of a team of student or teacher assigned by school management to check the cleanliness, the hygienic process. Number 2, it equipped with electric fan because of the, as you know, in our region, the tropical region, so equipped with electric fan, decorated with fresh flower plant. It's kind of the attraction strategy to customer. And sometimes we sterilize our utensil after washing. Sometimes we put it under sunlight. Sometimes we sterilize in the machine, in the hot steaming machine for virus sterilizing. And we maintain properly to ensure hygiene, cleanliness. I mean, we keep it hygienic in the, for example, in the wall, in the table with the glass to prevent dusting. Some schools have waiter or waitress as a student to volunteer with professional uniform. For example, some schools have we call hotel management and hospitality subject inside, for example, vocational high school. So students volunteer to be the waiter or waitress, to serve food to customers. So it is kind of the practice time or activity for them to learn hand-on skill, exactly or reality with customer. In the environment area, as I told you, there are some country and some school have the big hall as accounting, sunny environment with peaceful place. Peaceful place, so quiet, being affordable or comfortable for student and teacher to learn, to study themselves, to interact academically there. Table and chair are cleaned neatly 3 times a day. In some country, 2 times a day, under an inspection or school management of teacher, a group of teacher. Technical department team, for example, school health department, under different ministry from different country. For example, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Well-being, and school management check sanitation and cleanliness of all facility and material. Sometimes school management go to visit canteen to check them directly, check them and ask the customer during mealtime, for example, breakfast or lunchtime, calling for a meeting to check cleanliness. Sometimes we have immediate meeting if we identify any challenges, any problem emerge from the customer. Doing teaching, learning, and other extracurricular activity there. It is the learning environment for student and teacher doing extracurricular activity. For example, playing musical instrument, club studying in group of students, and chatting all together for fun after relaxing from studying at classroom. Let me show you number 2, pillar 2. Pillar 2, ensure the hygienic and nutrition. Some schools have processed and fermented food, jam, vegetable, fruit, fish, and meat are run and managed by students themselves. It's kind of the practice. For example, in vocational high school, students study agricultural trade, like agronomy, animal husbandry. So they have to plant, they have to grow, they have to raise vegetable. So the product out of agricultural process can be fermented and processed to keep it for future use. School have agricultural farm, as I told you, and plantation, animal houses, food processing laboratory, like packed food, plastic with plastic, packing. Sometimes we use the paper packing. Ingredient and food use follow the requirement and guidelines from ministry in charge. As I told you, there are some country, ministry in charge, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, restricting selling of salty and sweet food to students. Salty food is a problem with the health, and sweet food as well. So we strictly prohibit it and check it by the ministry in charge working group. Forbidding to sell uncooked or raw food to students. Uncooked or raw food is a problem to the health, especially we might have diarrhea. Delicious, hygienic, and nutritious with reasonable price. Because as you know, student and teacher cannot be affordable to access the food outside because of the high price. So we set the reasonable price. How can we set the reasonable price? Because we have the farm, plantation. So some agricultural product can be accessed, can be work, can be found in the school. So it's cheap or without buying from outside. This is the reason why that we set reasonable price for customer. Frequent meeting to check qualities, as I mentioned before. A group of teachers check and oversee the cleanliness and healthy food or drink twice a day using structured checklist. Some country twice a day, some country 3 times a day, some country 4 times a day. With structured checklist that we mentioned, that we specify in the textbook of school health subject. And we prohibited the disease transmitted insect, right? Fly and other insects. It may cause the problem, impacting the health condition. And some schools, some countries have a suggestion box put in front of the canteen door, because after eating, student or customer leave the canteen, that they can put any suggestion in the piece of paper in terms of nutrition, in terms of deliciousness, in terms of hygiene, sanitation, in terms of order, in terms of quality, and the school management collect this. If we identify any problem happening during lunchtime, during mealtime by customer, school principal call for a meeting, sometimes immediate meeting to solve the problem. And some schools have the slogan that health is the first priority for students. Priority. The reason why we stress on the healthy food. Cooking method, we strongly strict on the type of cooking. For example, steaming. Is it cooked or uncooked, or raw? Boiling. Boiling, less depth frying. So we can check it. How can we check it? As I told you, structure checking, and we see the feedback from customer. Special menu that serve more fruit and vegetable for those who are overweight. It is a problem of overweight student or teacher. They can check and they can know the food are labeled with calorie tag. You see, if you are overweight, you have to take care of your calorie level measurement. Fast food, processed food, soft drink, sugary drink, and food with coloring are not allowed in the country. It is prohibited because it affects the health, especially the student, primary school student, kindergarten student, because they are too young. Students from home science subject engage and evaluate the food quality. Some countries have home science subject. Some countries, for example, in Cambodia, we have home economic subject. Home economic subject engage. Students can engage in the canteen activity and evaluate, because they study the healthy school health contents, element of to being hygienic, sanitation, so they can check and provide feedback. Yes, that's all about my presentation. In conclusion, in order to enhance eating habit, we have 3 R. The first one is reflect. If you eat the food, for example, you eat the food in the morning, it can be reflect in the afternoon or later at night today. If there's a problem with the food, you can reflect back. What kind of food that did you eat during morning, during afternoon? If you identify any transmitted food, for example, you eat food in the morning or afternoon and later at night, you will have a diarrhea, so you can reflect back. And after this, you replace another R. Replace the food that cause you disease, that cause you illness. So if you replace, you change your eating habit. It means reinforce. Reinforce, you change, you start a new food, replacing the food that cause you have a problem affecting your health. So 3 R's important: reflect, replace, and reinforce. It is all my presentation. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. I, for the nice presentation. So it is reflect, replace,
reinforce.
Reinforce. Yeah. Okay, that is important. Yeah. So reflect on the food, the food you eat, replace it with the good one, and reinforce it. Yeah, so it is also important for us, Dr. I, for the for the adult, not only for the school canteen. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. I, for the presentation. So you mentioned about the healthy school canteen facilities there. We cannot comment too much on that. Yeah, there is one question later on we would like to also take up from the Q&A, getting this. And then on the food quality and food and nutrition quality in the canteen, you mentioned about restricting unhealthy foods and promoting healthy food to be provided. That is the replace, right? And then also the labeling was there, and then supervision is also important for this pillar. So we have heard from the four experts, from the four speakers today about some programs to improve food environment at school. Some is considered as the school meal programs, and then some were talking about the best practices of the implementation of the healthy school canteen. I would like to invite question now, or to read the question, which is already in the Q&A session. But before that, I would like to also invite question from the audience in the venue. So audience in the venue, if you have question, please raise your hand, and the committee will approach you. Will approach you, and then I will invite you later for the question and answer session. Probably 1 to question from the venue. But while we're waiting for the question from the venue, I would like to ask a question to Prof. Kitty. Prof. Kitty, probably you could, there is a question from Ibu Yudi from Simiorek Fund. What is the most significant lesson learned that you find? You could also access the Q&A session, Prof. From Ibu Yudi, what is the most significant lesson learned you find to involve the teachers with their involvement in the programs you mentioned? You mentioned, especially on the home visit to the students during the COVID-19 pandemic. So that is the question, Prof. Kitty. So probably with this question, I would like also you to also highlight on my early question on the density of the food outlets and its association with the nutritional status in the Thai situation. So Prof. Kitty.
Thank you for the question. And for this one, I mean, during the COVID-19, the student didn't allow to go to the school, and they have to learn online. And then I think the problem when the teacher first, when they teach the student online, is mean they might have to visit the student, for example, or to bring the assignment to them, or to bring back the assignment from the parents, something like this. And then we just recommend them to bring some food as well when when they have to visit the student. We didn't set anything, the extra work for them. This is we try to set the routine work, and then let them see how many students that they have to visit. Maybe the teacher know that student well. For the family and the socio-economics or something like this, because the teacher stay at that committee as well. And this one, maybe we have to think the schedule for the student, for the teacher, how often that they have to visit. And sometimes, when we face the COVID situations, it means sometimes the teacher set the schedule by themselves. And maybe we have to set something that regularly for the teacher, and what kind of the food that they have to bring. For example, milk, or maybe the protein sources or something like this, and fruit and vegetable. For the first time, I suggest them to bring, for example, carrot, banana, or pumpkin, because some family didn't have the refrigerator. And we're not sure the food go to the mouth of the children or not, or the parent sell the food. And this one, we have to set the monitor system.
Okay. Yes, Prof. Iti.
And another question that you asked me about the food outlet density, how to measure that. I mean, this project I have to conduct in, as I remember, to 2017, no, 2017, that funding by the Ministry of Public Health. And then, this one I adapt from from the study of the Dr. Boyd Swinburne. And then, the protocol. We have to measure all of the food outlet around the school. For example, in front of the gate of the school, they have the food outlet. We have to use the GPS and then mark the longitude and latitude, and then plot on the GPS map. Then and we measure about the nutritional status of the children at the school, and then see the correlation, and we will get the density of the obesity per the food outlet. That one.
Okay.
For this one, if Indonesia interests, I think we can share the proposal or the method that we have done in Thailand already.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prof. Kitty, for the answer. So there is no not yet direct link, yeah, Prof, with the nutritional status of the children. It should be ecological association. Yeah. Okay, Prof. Thank you so much, Prof. Kitty. So I would like to invite if the question from the venue is ready from the committee. Is there any question from the venue?
Okay, I have a question.
Okay, please mention your name.
My name is Voti. I'm from Simeo CSEP. So my first question to Dr. Harvinder Kaur, because your research study, maybe you conducted in the urban, in the city, but the most problem in our nutrition or canteen is in the rural area. You do your research study in the city or in the rural area, the first one. And I see many programs that you do for Malaysia. You do also the meal program for school. And to Mr. Kitty, I was in the palace in Thailand. At that times, there are meal school programs, meals, and your king do the meal candy, because you cannot bring the meal to the rural area, but it will be style, and then the king make the factory inside the palace to do the milk candy. This program still going in Thailand or not? And then to Mr. Ai Song Hieng, because our minister even said that can not allow to sell candy in school. How the effective of this order to do in Cambodia, because the candy sell in the canteens is not good for the teeth of the children. That's why how effective this order by the minister. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pak Puti, for the question. Pak Puti is from the Simeo CSEP. So I would like to invite now all speakers to answer the question from Pak Puti. Start with Dr. Harvinder. Please, Dr. Harvinder.
Okay, thank you for your question. I suppose the question would be, the study that I've conducted was in the urban or semi-urban area, and then that the canteen will be absent in the rural areas. So what can we do to improve the food environment in the rural areas? I suppose if there is no canteen in the rural area, there are no canteen operators, the first initiative we can do is we can impart the awareness by including the nutrition education in their curriculum first. the importance of having at least a canteen in the school that has got healthy, balanced meal. Well, the awareness first should be created. And secondly, perhaps we can encourage the growth of school gardens, okay, whereby having their own fruits and vegetable grown can help the school administrative to actually set up their own food preparations designated area to help these children in the rural areas. Besides that, maybe efforts can be, or initiative can be done to to get the cooperation of the ministries to actually help out to have a little bit budget on investing on the facilities for these kids in the rural areas, to come up with facilities to at least have a basic canteen that can help prepare meals for these children. And in the effort initiative to create the awareness, it's good to enroll the parents as well, because parents are the main role model, key factors to instill this healthy eating behavior in children. So I guess this could be some of the basic steps that we can take to initiate at least having school canteen in these rural areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Harpinder. So we would invite Prof. Kitty to answer the question.
Yes, and the question that you mentioned about the milk candy, and from our previous king, the Raman number 9. And I would like to mention, I know this project well, because in the previous time I worked with our princess for some project to support Lao PDR. And then, right now we still have the milk candy, not just only the milk candy, we have the milk powders, because in the rural area it might not convenient to bring the UST milk and or the pasteurized milk. And then we have the study to let the school to select the milk by themselves. But right now the budget allocated to the local government, and the local government try to manage by themselves. We can evaluate just only for the nutritional status. And then out of the King's project, right now we still have more than 4,000 projects to support Thai people. We might be lucky as well, even though for the vaccine factory as well, because this is come from our King's idea to have the factory, and we can produce the AstraZeneca by ourselves. Maybe you can visit Thailand when we open the country, and we can see some project that belong to our kings, for the current king as well, because he continue the father's projects, and everything still continue. Thank you for your questions.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Kitty. Still on the candy, could you also, Dr. Ai, to respond to the question from Pak Putih?
Thank you, Mr. Pawuti, for your question. You are right. Candy or sweet food or salty food are prohibited in school. Not only sweet food or candy affect the teeth of students, because students may eat a lot, it may cause fever. For example, if the fever, it affects the student health and be absent from school. Another reason that sweet food can increase the glucose or sugar level inside students. Students, not only adults, primary school students, they are so young. So if they eat it every day too much, the glucose level inside increases. It carries to diabetes, level A, level B. Diabetes is a chronic disease. As you know, early childhood education, secondary education It's kind of the long-term investment, national investment. If they have the problem taking risk of diabetes, the investment of the government will be wasted.
So, Dr. Ai, the question is actually on, is it working, the policy?
Yeah, the policy cannot be working, especially in some
in school.
It is kind of the guideline. It
Yeah.
must be working, but
Okay.
according to the need of situation. But the school principal and management try to enforce it, and student and teacher understand the importance, because diabetes problem is a very important and popular in Cambodia. So we have to be careful for the sweet food and candy as well in the school. Even though my child go to school, we did not see any candy inside the school. It's a problem. Yeah, they will try to enforce and to join the guideline from the government together.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ai. It is indeed very not easy, not easy to restrict unhealthy food at school. So I would like to ask Pak Gusnedi actually in this aspect. Pak, the school environment, is it not only the what is available in the school, in terms of restricting unhealthy foods, in terms of restricting unhealthy foods. But we are also, especially in Indonesia, bombarded with advertisement of unhealthy foods everywhere, even in the school surroundings. Yeah. So could you also comment on that in relating to the best practices in the school canteen to restrict unhealthy food?
Okay, thank you, Bu Helda, for the question. So based on our interaction with the school that already successfully run the healthy school canteens, the way that they have done to restrict the unhealthy food at the surrounding the school, the first is related to the policy of the school in terms of for their internal, I mean for the student and school community, how they promote the healthy lifestyle, especially for the healthy eating behavior among the school community. So they have been aware what food they have to eat and select in the school. And the second one is to empower the food seller surrounding the school with the education and also the nutrition promotion, and their collaborate with the external partner, for example, health center and also food drug administration in the food control and also inspectors. So some school have regular check for the food sold in the school environments done by the respective agencies. So it makes that all the school community, including the surrounding community, aware that healthy food is very important to make sure that all students can eat nutritious and balanced food every day.
Okay, Pak Gusnedi. So again, multi-sectoral collaboration is
that's right. Yeah.
For this aspect. There is a question from Chandan Kundu, Chandan Kumar Kundu from Kolkata, India. The question is it possible to provide school canteen to all the countries? So at the initial of this Q&A session, this question was actually similar to the question from Paputi, whether or not it is possible to provide school canteen to all the countries. So I would like to ask to both Dr. Ai and Pak Gusnedi on this question, reflecting on the challenges you find when you compile the best practices for school healthy school canteen. That's the first question. So and the second one is considering the differences in the way healthy school canteen is being implemented in the Southeast Asia schools. Do you think we need to come up with a more regional set of standards among schools in Southeast Asia in about the healthy school canteen standard? So in this aspect, because it is also academic, I would also like to invite comments from Dr. Harvinder and Prof. Kitty on this aspect, on the possibility of this. Okay, so I would like to invite first Dr. Ai to answer the question.
Yes, thank you for the question. As I mentioned before, that we come up with different regulation, school regulation, different economic status, different country, different culture, different food. But even though we try, if we can't, even though in Cambodia we cannot, we have no structure or formal school canteen regulation policy to regulate, to enhance it. But we have school health regulation, policy, strategy to enforce and enhance the full nutrition, ensure that food provided by school can be nutritious, can be hygienic and affordable to students. It can be have an each country if ministry, supervising ministry, school management come out to sit together to talk, to find out the common point. As raised by Dr. Fernando, Jeff, we can have a regional guideline, school guideline. We set the minimum standard for healthy school canteen from each country and each country can be followed as a guideline, but the minimum standard for them is my answer.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ai. Pak Gusnedi?
Yeah, thank you, Bu Helda. From the perspective of the policies, I think it is possible to provide canteen for the whole country. This is a big challenge, but still possible. To do this, I think we need to establish strong policies on how each school in the country have to build a healthy school canteen with the minimum standards. For example, from Indonesia, there is a regulation from national and the provincial and district level for building healthy environment at school, including for the establishment of a healthy canteen. And then also related to the monitoring and evaluation program, how to monitor the implementation of healthy canteen for each school and involve the collaboration and a partnership within the agency or both government and non-government to make sure that the policy is done in the group level. But in fact, we have already seen that so many problems in the school level related to the availability of fund and then land and managerial skills. So we have to empower our school with the policies and also for the guidance how to establish a healthy school canteen. Thank you, Wilda.
Okay, thank you, Pak Gusnedi. So it's still possible, yeah, with varying degrees, of course, but there should be a minimum standard of healthy school canteen. Yeah. So I would like now to invite Prof. Kitty to comment on this.
Yes, I agree with Dr. Ice about to set the minimum standard for the Southeast Asian country. And I think maybe we have to work together because in the different country, we have the different context. Maybe we have to set the standard and maybe go to the score, the different level. For example, if some country can go to the different score, it might be better than for our children. And then not just only set only one standard for all, because maybe it's might not be fit to some country in some context. For example, in Thailand, as I know, at the Ministry of Education, they didn't have the policy to build the canteen for the school, because they focus on the classroom or the teacher or something like this. And for the canteen, they have to looking for another source of funding to build as possible in their community. And not just only to build the canteen. I mean, the canteen not just used for the school. The canteen might not use for the community, for example, the wedding party or something like this. And collect the money to renovate to how to say to for the canteen for the long term. And this is maybe the policy that we have to think. And from the perspective of my perspective as the nutritionist, I think for the healthy canteen, we have to set, because we cannot use the whole from the Western country. We are the Asian people. Maybe it might be the guideline in general, and then more, for the more specific guidelines in each country have to work. Similar to when I did food-based dietary guideline for Thailand. We followed some steps from the FAO, and then for the specific, we have to adapt. For example, in Thailand, we eat rice, we didn't eat bread or something like this. And in Thailand, in the different regions, the children eat as well. This is my opinion, and I think it's possible to work together in this aspect, and to keep the evaluation and monitor as well for this step. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Kitty, for the answer to the question. So I would like now to also invite Dr. Harvinder. Dr. Harvinder, actually there are some questions for you in the question on answer session, and you have answered that. If you have further clarification on those questions, you can use this opportunity to also add up your explanation on the question that you have been answered. Please, Dr. Harvinder.
Thank you. Firstly, addressing to the previous question, I agree with all the speakers. We have different cultures, we have different canteen operation in our country, and some of us may have canteens, may not have canteens. But what we can do collaboratively for the C schools would be maybe to come up with basic principles of healthy eating, physical activity that can be employed holistically, so that, if we can come up with some standard, but maybe it's the basic principle, the very minimum standards for the schools. As for the questions in the chat box,
yeah, you answered some of them actually, and all of them you have answered. If there is anything you think you need to clarify more, you can use this opportunity. If not, I think the answer is actually clear, very clear, very clear.
Okay, then I think I have nothing to clarify lah.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Harvinder, for the answer. So we come to the end of this webinar. So we have learned a lot during this webinar. Yeah, we understand that nutrition problems among school-age children is rampant. Yeah, obesity problem is increasing, both in Malaysia and Thailand. And we understand actually also that food environment has been shown by Dr. Harvinder and Prof. Kitty play an important role in this case. So, and then also we understand that there is potential to improve the food environment one way or another, but there is challenges. Yeah, we understand that there is challenges. And in the discussion, we also agree that there should be a minimum set of standard of healthy school canteens for all Southeast Asian countries as an effort to improve the food environment region-wise. So I think with that, I will conclude the question and answer session as well as the webinar. Thank you so much to all the speakers who has been presenting very nicely and giving us insightful knowledge on these aspects. And also I thank you very much to all participants, both in the venue and also online, as well as in the YouTube, who are actively participating and listening to this webinar. Thank you so much. And I will over this session to the MC. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Thank you, Dr. Harvinder Kaur, Professor Kitty Srana Charunpong, Dr. Gusnedi, Dr. Song Hyang Ai, and Dr. Helda Kusun for the insightful session. And of course, thank you too to our participants for your interesting questions and enthusiasm during the webinar.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's now moving on to the next session. Simeo Rekfon will launch some of its products, which are school-based nutrition promotion country profile, and also healthy school canteen policies, programs, and best practices in Southeast Asia.
For this session, we would like to give the time to the Director of Simeo Rekfon, Professor Muhtaruddin Mansyur.
Well, thank you very much. With saying Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, blessing Allah Almighty, gratefully all of us are launching the books of school-based nutrition promotion and healthy school canteen. Let's watch the video. Well, with the great appreciation to all contributors of the books, I'm presenting the books to Semio Secretariat, represented by Dr. Kirchasai Somsamat.
Thank you so much, and congratulations to Semio Fund and participating Semio centers and partners. This is Thank you so much. And this is marvelous. We are certain.
Well,
yes. Okay.
Dr. Kirchasai, please, I would like to have a waiver from you to give some reviews of the books.
Sure. Thank you so much, and I'd like to congratulate your Fund and participating Semio centers and partners. This is marvelous. We are certain that the books and the country profile will be wonderful and useful resources to help improving the health and nutrition status of school children in the region. They also show the strength of Semio collaborative capabilities. We do really appreciate the initiation from Semio Fund and the great collaboration from all Semio centers who took part in this inter-center collaborative program, Semio Chat, Semio Sen, Semio Seka, Semio Tech, and also Semio WalkTech. I do encourage everyone to use these resources to promote a healthy school food environment. I'm certain that we can all together help improving the health and nutrition status of school children in the region with the wonderful resources we have created. Thank you so much. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih. Thank you very much to Dr. Kirchasai for your kind endorsement, and I'm returning to the MCs. Back to you, Aryan and Faik. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Mukhtar, Dr. Kirchasai, as well as all writers and contributors of the books, and congratulations to Semio Fund that has launched their publication. I believe that all of you can wait for the books, so please stay tuned to our website. We hope that these books could bring benefit to all stakeholders.
And now, this marks the end of our webinar. Allow us to thank Semio Fund for conducting this webinar and all our distinguished resource persons as well as honorable participants for your kind attention today.
It was our great pleasure to be the master of ceremony on international webinar on school food environment and dietary behavior among school children and adolescents in Southeast Asia. We hope to see you again on the next webinar. I'm Arinta Rahmania Putri Sudibya.
And I am Ahmadullah Faik. Good afternoon. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Recording stopped.
Thank you so much, everyone.